everybody, it's Alyssa. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a stretched ears video. So first, I just want to say excuse how I look. I didn't feel like putting on makeup, so I didn't really put any on. Yeah, this is me half trying. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but honestly I just haven't had the passion or drive to make the video, and I wanted to say that I want to make the video now, but I don't really enjoy making stretched ears and piercing videos that much anymore. It's just not something that interests me now as it did back when I was 16, and that's completely normal. People go through phases. I still love piercings, tattoos. Obviously, like, I'm still gonna get tons of tattoos and I love my stretched ears, but I don't have the passion to make tons of videos on it anymore. So I hope you guys understand that, but today I'm doing a video on my stretched ears 4 years later. So I've had my ears stretched for almost 4 years now. You guys were here for the whole entire journey. I started from my very first stretch all the way to my final stretch, which is a 00 gauge. And if you guys haven't seen that and you're new to my channel, I will put the link for it up in the cards and in the description box below, so you guys can watch my entire journey from the start to the end, so you guys can actually see my stretches and everything. But this video is basically just giving you my experience having stretched ears for 4 years now. I don't have big stretched ears, as you guys can see. I'm just a 00 gauge. Not huge. So if you're looking for a video for someone with like huge stretched ears, then this isn't the video for you. I get a lot of hate saying that my ears aren't big enough to talk about, to be able to have an experience of people judging me for them, which makes no sense to me. I basically asked you guys on Instagram a couple weeks ago to ask me any questions you have with my experience of having stretched ears, because I would say 4 years is a pretty good time, especially at the beginning of it, me being in high school with experiences with other people and everything. Basically, I'm just going to be answering you guys' questions about it. I'm not going to be really answering questions like how long between this stretch and this stretch did you wait, because like I said, this was 4 years ago. I don't remember how long I waited in between each stretch. If you guys want to know, just go look at my videos. I get that question probably 5 times a day, people messaging me and asking me how long I waited between each stretch and this and that. You guys have to realize that you probably don't remember certain things from 4 years ago, and that's something that I don't remember. It's just something really small that I would not be able to remember. So I'm not answering questions like that. I'm mostly answering just questions on my experience afterwards. So the first question is from Page Master, and they asked, how long did it take me to put double flared plugs in? So that's a really good question, because it did take me quite a while to be able to wear double flared plugs, and now that's pretty much the only thing I do wear because it's the most comfortable and it's the easiest to put in my opinion. So these right here are double flared, as you guys can see, and if you don't know what that means, basically both of the ends are flared out like this, so they're a little bit bigger than your actual size. So a lot of people have trouble with wearing them, and by the way guys, that's how my ear looks. If you guys even care enough, I guess that's how my ear looks. It's completely healed, both of them are. I haven't had any problems or anything in a couple years with them being healed or anything like that. So that's the way they look. So it took me about, I want to say, 1.5 to 2 years to be able to wear double flared plugs. And I say this because I feel like your ears should be completely healed before you try to put double flared plugs in, because you're kind of stretching your ear a little bit to get them in, if that makes any sense. So it did take me a while to get double flared plugs in, and I was very frustrated. And waiting 1.5 to 2 years may sound like a lot. Sometimes this is what you have to do to keep your ears healthy, and now that's the only thing I wear. The next question is from Danger Girl Must Die, and she asked, I'm at a 1 gauge right now and I'm going to 0 gauge eventually, but maybe 00 gauge. Where should I get plugs from? I've done hauls from a couple different plug websites. The main one I shop at is urbanbodyjewelry.com. That's mainly where all of mine are from, just because they always send me some out of the kindness of their hearts, and I also buy a lot of the stuff from their website. Bodycandy.com has really cheap ones. You literally, if you just search your size of plugs and tunnels, a bunch of websites will pop up on Google. The next question is from Marie Cruz .11, and they asked if what you knew now about having done it, if what you know now about having done it you knew back then, would you still do it? I'm not really understanding the question, but I think it's asking if I knew back then what I know now about having stretched ears, would I have done it back then? And the answer is yes, I still would have done it. I love having my stretched ears, so yes, if I knew now what I didn't know then, yes, I would still do it. I'm confusing myself. The next is from Avery Brianna, and she asked, what advice would you give someone about gauges who is still on the fence about getting them? So if you're on the fence about anything, I don't think that you should do it until you're 100% positive that it's something you want to do. So this video might help you push towards actually doing it, but when I started to stretch my ears, I 100% knew that it was something that I wanted. I did tons of research for 6 months to a year, and I knew it was something that I 100% wanted to do. If you're on the fence about anything, do not do it. Just do a lot of research, give yourself time. It's just like a tattoo. You might initially want this really nice design as a tattoo, but then you wait a year, and after a year you don't want it anymore. So just give yourself time to think hard about it, and then you'll eventually figure out what you want to do. Next is from Evie McComb, and they asked, have you ever thought about trying to close them up? And no, I have never even had the thought in my head ever to close them up. And they also asked, have I ever thought about going bigger or smaller? I've never thought about going smaller. I have thought about going bigger, but I wouldn't be able to do that anyway, because when you stretch, you're usually supposed to stretch with like steel tunnels. At least that's what I did when I stretched my smaller sizes, and I wouldn't be able to wear these at work. I'm not allowed to have like my ears open and stuff at work. I wear plugs. I thought about going bigger, but at the same time I like this size and I don't want to go through the process of it having to heal and everything again. So I've thought about it, but I'm not going to do it. The next question is from Tears Alin _ I said that totally wrong, but they asked, do you sleep with your plugs in and do you also shower with them in? I never ever take them out. I feel naked if I have them out. I feel uncomfortable when they're out, even when I'm sleeping. Sometimes they fall out when I'm sleeping, but I just put them back in the mornings. I do shower with them in. I'll take them out when I'm showering and clean them, but other than that, I do not ever take them out. The next is from Taylor, and they asked if they've ever been infected and how did I heal them. Mine have never gotten infected, and I feel like it's because I stretched them in a pretty clean way, I would say. Definitely wasn't perfect, but I kept my ears pretty clean, and I would clean them as much as I was supposed to. So no, they never got infected. They did get really irritated where, like, you know, they would get a little pussy and everything like that, just like some ear piercings do. But no, I never had them get infected. The next is from Wendy Charles Dab, and they asked, what do you do or use to minimize the smell of stretched ears? So I don't know, like I know there's like a certain smell that some people get with their ears, but my ears have never really smelled bad at all, and that's maybe because I clean them every single day. So I guess my only advice I could give to that is to clean them twice a day maybe. But every time I take a shower I use soap and water. But ever since mine have completely healed, I haven't had any type of smell at all, and even when I was stretching they didn't really have a smell either, so I don't really know like the bad smell everybody's talking about. The next is from Karina McIver, and they asked, do you regret stretching your ears? No, I don't regret stretching them at all. I don't have any regrets. The next is from Dainty Cactus, and they asked, do your ears ever continue to stretch, making your plugs come out all of the time? It has happened when I wear heavier stone plugs. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and they'll come out and they're a little bit bigger. So if you wear heavier plugs, normally your ears will naturally stretch a little bit bigger, but if you take them out they'll shrink back in like a couple hours or so. So yes, my ears have stretched a little bit bigger, but once you take them out or you just put like some lighter ones in, then they usually shrink back to the size. The next question is from Spaghetti something, I don't know how to pronounce that, but they asked, is one of your lobes thinner than the other one, and how do you take care of them in the winter? So I would probably have to say that this one is a little bit thinner than the other, but you could see that they're pretty similar in size. I had them pierced like pretty much perfectly in the middle of my earlobe, so I didn't have uneven piercing or anything to begin with. And then how I take care of them in the winter is not any different how I take care of them any other time. I'm not sure if there's a certain way you're supposed to take care of them in the winter, so no, I don't do anything differently. And I live in Georgia, so winter is not really winter. Like, it gets cold for a couple weeks and maybe it'll snow, but we don't really have like long, extremely cold winters here. Next question is from Mary Ann, and they asked the most annoying thing about them. And I have a whole video I think I made last Christmas about the things I don't like about stretched ears, so if you guys want to check that out, you can. The most annoying thing about them is that I can't have them out at work. That's the only thing I have to complain about them. Next question is from Brittany Williams 1201, and they asked, how have people treated you since you started stretching your ears? So I think this is the main question that most people have to ask, is how are you treated by people? Did people treat you differently? And for me, I didn't get treated any differently from pretty much anybody. My parents are pretty accepting about it. At first they were a little skeptical, but then they just kind of let me do what I want, because if they tell me no, normally I just do it anyway. So they just kind of like let me do it. They didn't really care too much. My grandparents don't really know what they are, so they don't really understand it. They didn't really care. People at school thought it was cool when I was in high school, so I've never had anybody treat me differently. The only people who have treated me differently are people on the internet who just leave hate comments, but that's like kind of them just trolling. So I fortunately have never had any issues with people judging me about having them, but I know a lot of other people do. But I also don't have really big ones either. I feel like the bigger you have, the more judgmental looks and comments you get. The next question is from Haley XO. And they asked if you could ever go back and change your stretching experience, would you, and what would you change? Well, I feel like I wouldn't change very much. I feel like the only thing I would change was maybe wait a little bit longer in between each stretches, because I do remember there being a lot of pain in between certain ones, like the 8 and 6, I think, I don't remember, or the 2 to a 0 was pretty bad. So I think I would have waited a little bit longer in between each stretch, but other than that, I don't think I would change anything. It's Faith asked, what kind of jewelry do you wear while you're at work, if any? So I wear like mostly my stone plugs, because they kind of just look like earrings. Since I have smaller stretched ears, I could pretty much wear any type of plugs and people just think they're earrings. So that's what I wear. I just wear plugs. I just make sure they're not open. And they also asked, do you ever plan on sizing them down once you're older? And that's kind of a hard question to ask. I can't like read the future. I can't see the future, so I can't tell you that when I'm an adult I might want to shrink them. Like I can't tell you that. The next question is from Anna Mia Morgan, and they asked, what did your parents think of it at first, and your sister? Well, my sister didn't really care about it too much. I think from at the beginning she was a little judgmental about it, because she's, you know, the stereotype and everything of having them. And then my parents, they first told me, I remember when I first bought the kit, they told me no, like I wasn't allowed to have them, but then I showed them like pictures and videos of like the size I wanted to go to, which was a 2 gauge at the time, and they just told me that it was okay. So next question is from angelic.sunflowers, and they asked, how did you figure out your goal size? So at first I wanted to go to a 2 gauge, which most of you guys who watch my journey know, and then I ended up going to a 00. And I felt like a 2 gauge is just still too small. I wanted people to be able to notice that I had stretched ears, but I didn't want them so big where they were just like obnoxiously big. So I feel like a 00 gauge is like the point of no return for shrinking them back, and it's also not too small either. That's how I figured out the goal size. I just kind of went down the middle to like the small gauge sizes, and then it goes up to like inches and everything like that, so I just kind of went in the middle. Kendra Kennedy asked, from the first stretch to the last, how long did the process take? So I don't really remember, and I probably could go back to my videos right now and look, but I'm a little too lazy to do that. I think it took about 1.5 years, I would say, to go from a 18 gauge piercing hole to a 00 gauge. It should have taken longer. It probably should have taken like 2 years to do it, but it did take about 1.5 years, maybe 1 year, I don't remember. The next question is from Video Games and I think Sunflowers, and they asked, what do you usually use as a moisturizer for your lobes? So I used to use vitamin E oil a lot, but now I don't use anything. I don't know if I'm supposed to, even though they're healed. Yeah, so vitamin E oil or jojoba oil. Lay Year 26 asked, do you still like having stretched ears as much as when you first started stretching them? Yes, I still love them just as much now as I did back then. I just don't have a passion as much now for making videos, and that's pretty much it. But like how much I love them, I love them. I love being a little bit different than other people. I love all the different plugs and tunnels and everything that I can buy. So I've never had any regrets about having them, and I love them just as much now as I did then. The next question is from Sem_Vel, and they asked, what is some of the worst judgments you ever gotten from people about them? And I've kind of already answered this before, but I guess the only bad thing that I've ever had someone in person say is ask me if I'm emo and if I wanted to kill myself. Because apparently there's some stereotype that people with stretched ears and piercings and tattoos want to kill themselves. Don't know why that's a thing, but that's pretty much the only judgment I've gotten, is asking, like someone asking me if I want to kill myself or something. I don't know. Next question is from, I honestly don't know how to say it, so I'm not even going to try. It'll be on the screen. It says, does having stretched ears affect your piercings you have or want to get in your ears? So I actually have my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th lobe piercings, and I just don't wear them hardly ever because they're really uncomfortable to sleep in, and I just don't feel like wearing any in. These don't get in the way of my 2nd holes. I feel like if I went one size bigger though, I wouldn't be able to wear my second holes. The next question is from MadMax636, and they asked, how many times have you been denied, turned down in a job interview because of them? I've never been turned down for a job interview because of them at all. Keep in mind, I've only had 3 jobs since I was 16. My first job was at a tanning salon, and I didn't have my ears stretched then, I don't think, or it was like the very beginning. And she didn't care about stretched ears, tattoos, piercings. She was really cool about all that. Second job was at a clothing store. They didn't say anything about it. They said we weren't allowed to have piercings, but we all wore them anyway, and they didn't care. And then the job I have now, I'm a vet tech, and I'm not allowed to have piercings, colored hair, tattoos, anything like that. But I don't think they know I have stretched ears because I've never ever worn them out. So nobody really knows that I even have them. And during my job interview, I have my hair down, so you can't see my ears anyway. I've never been turned down for them ever because most people don't even know I have them. And the last question is from Pink Floyd Laser Show, and they asked, I've been contemplating stretching my ears. Is it worth it? So that's the last question I'm going to answer about that. Do I think it's worth it? Yes, for me. It might not be worth it for other people. I think it's 100% worth it, and I've had no problems with having them. So yes, I think it's worth it. If it's something that you love and you're worried about being judged for it, I think you should just screw other people's opinions and do what you like. You shouldn't live the rest of your life worried about what other people think of you, and that's just like my motto. That's what I live for. So I did it, and I have no regrets about it. I love my stretched ears, and that's that. So hopefully this video was sort of informative for you guys and helped you with my experience of what I've dealt with the past 4 years of having stretched ears, which wasn't anything really negative. Like I said, from now on, I probably won't be making too many stretched ears videos. I'm planning on doing a plug/tunnel collection video somewhat in the next couple month or two, because I do have a lot and I want to do another video on them. But I feel like the only types of videos I'm really gonna make are ones about my plug collections or plug hauls, but like actual videos about ear stretching, okay, I'm not planning on making. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wanted to say really quick that I did get a P.O. box, which I will have on the screen right here so you guys can check it out. A lot of you guys have been asking me to get a P.O. box so you can send me things, letters, drawings, packages, anything you want to send. I have on the screen right here so you guys can send me. I've already gotten a couple things and I absolutely love them. So if I get enough, I'll make a P.O. box opening video. Also, I have an Etsy shop, which I'm just promoting myself a little bit, where I make homemade bookmarks. So if you guys want to buy a bookmark made by me, then the link will be down below. Also follow me on my social medias because I do post things on my Instagram story, which will usually become videos, just like with my ear stretching questions. So follow me on Instagram so you guys can be involved in the behind the scenes type stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.